Hello everyone, this is Princess here, and in today's video we're going to talk about the next event that will be dropping in Global, which is going to be the new 6-man warrior quest. So this one's going to be a little different from the one that we had from Lyle's burst cycle. It's definitely a big improvement, and this is just going to be a beta event, but eventually we will get the 6-man warrior quest as permanent content. But for now, we're just going to talk about the beta, and we are also going to talk about the new LD, the new burst weapon, and then the returning burst plus, which is going to center around Lyse, Snow, and the Emperor. So let's get started. Alright, so the new burst weapon we are getting is going to be for Snow, and his burst weapon is called Revive the Soul, and this will grant the skill Will Never Give Up. It is a 15-hit AoE Brave full HP attack to targets. The burst effect is 8 turns, and it is going to be party-wide as well. So the party will get Ice Enchant, it raises their Brave damage, their Brave cap, and after HP attack, it raises Brave by 30% of HP damage dealt, and it will trigger after each HP attack during a turn. So it's basically Brave Cashback, or Brave Back, I think that's the term for it. They will get Brave back after each HP attack. So it's pretty interesting, but it doesn't really appeal to me that much. I didn't really chase Snow's burst during his cycle, but you can come up with some pretty crazy team comps with it. So then for the burst plus, so when you get it to 2 out of 3, it will add a 30% party brave cap up and a brave gain of 20% based on HP damage dealt. So the next character who's going to get their burst plus and level 90 is going to be the Emperor. So for his Karmic Rod, or for his burst effect, it will now be extended to 8 turns. It also raises party brave damage, the party's brave cap, and it deals an additional 20% brave damage on enemies with debuffs. And then finally, our LD weapon that will be released along with these two is going to be for Lyse. So these are the Shinryu's Claws, and this will grant the skill Way of the Will and triple effect. So what this does is it raises Brave based on the party's attack. It grants Will of the Way, Way of the Will for 6 turns, and then triggers a follow-up attack called Triple Threat. So the triple threat follow-up right over here. It is a 4-hit AoE Brave single target HP attack dealt 3 times. It has a 60% Brave potency per hit, a 150% stolen Brave overflow, and it also raises Brave by 20% of HP damage dealt after each attack, except for the last one, and it also deals splash damage. So when you get her LD up to 2 out of 3, it will extend the Way of the Will buff for 12 turns. Each limit break will also raise Lyse's max Brave and attack. As for the Way of the Will buff, so this will raise the party's stolen Brave overflow. It raises their Brave and HP damage dealt, and their Brave and HP damage resist. And with her character boards, it will add party defense by 20%. So then for the LD call, so when you call her in to use Way of the Will and Triple Threat, she's pretty much going to do the same thing as she does with her LD. The only difference is that when you have Lyse use her LD in the party, the percentages go up to 20 to 30%, whereas for her calls, it will be from 10 to 15%. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the bosses for this event. So there's going to be 2 different robot type enemies that you're going to be fighting. The first one is a shift frame type BW. This was the robot that you fought when in Offmau's event. So this is the big threat in this fight. So it can inflict a myriad of debuffs on you, and while granting itself frame buffs. There's also a point where it can give itself 3 consecutive turns. And then when it's airborne, it is weak to physical attacks, but nullifies magic attacks. And then when it's grounded, it's weak to magic, but nullifies any physical attacks. And when I say physical, I mean any sort of melee or ranged attacks. So these are just some of the attacks that it can do. It can raise up its stats a lot, raise up its buffs. So if you have a debuff or dispeller, then that can really come in handy for this fight. And then moving on to the next boss. So this robot is called the Dimension Mighty Arm, but I call it the Frog Robot because when you hit it, it literally makes frog sounds. I'm not joking when I say that. So for the orb is right over here. So the orb will appear when it has a red aura present and then cancels out when its blue aura is present. And the aura requirement for this is really easy. You just need someone with HP regen, which Snow has, or someone like Ignis, Paladin Cecil, Lena, Queen, Maria. You have a lot of variety, basically. So looking at, these are like the only attacks that it has, and it's not a lot compared to the Offmouth boss, but these can be pretty dangerous if you're not careful. So a little more information. So the robot itself has 3 different auras. So the blue aura will reduce any brave or HP damage that it takes, and then the yellow aura, this does the same thing. It reduces brave HP damage, but it can also like make it to the point where you're just going to deal 1 brave damage the whole time. Sorry. It can also lock its turn in, so you can't delay or delete it, and you can't break it either, even using like a force break like Trey or Jack. And it will use a brave HP attack, if I remember correctly, on its next turn. And then we have the red aura. Now this is where it gets dangerous, because when it has the red aura up, there's going to be an HP sap on the field. And if your HP falls below 30%, then the frog robot will dispel all of your buffs and then just instantly kill you. So make sure you have a healer like Queen or Maria or Lena with you. Alright, so one last thing before we leave. This is the team that I used for the 6-man beta. So Noctis and Terra were my main damage dealers. So while the robot was airborne, I would use Noct. And then when it was grounded, then I would swap over to Terra. Bosch was my main shield for this party, but using him was pretty risky because at one point when the frame type boss uses this group HP attack, Bosch's HP would be low enough for the frog robot to kill him, and that's even after his LD revives him. So I would not recommend using Bosch for this fight, unless if you want to make it really frustrating like I did. But basically don't use any tanks that can sap their own HP. So I don't think using Galuf or Zac would be a good idea. Warrior of Light would probably be the best one to go, or Snow if you're going to use him. And then Rydia, she was here mainly to bypass the frame type when it got 3 consecutive turns. So I used her LD for this, and she would just, the whole party wouldn't get hurt at all, basically. And then for for Lena and Rem, I used them mainly for healing, but Lena I also had for debuff evasion, and for Rem I would use for turn swapping shenanigans, as I call it, and also for the follow-up from her LD. So kind of use this as a guide. And then for calls, I kind of played the super safe. So I had like a Setzer call on Bosch, and then I had a Cater call on Lena. Maria I had on Terra for extra healing. Fran I used just to help Noct deal more damage, or the whole party in general. And then for Ferris, I used her when the boss would give itself frame buffs. So just mainly there to dispel. So with that being said, I am now going to head over to JP, and I don't have Snow's Burst, but I am just going to show off Lyse's LD. So I will be right back. Alright, so we are back in JP. So here's my Lyse over here, and just to show, right over here is the LD passive. So I will go and show it off. Alright, so here is Way of the Will and triple effect. So this part is Way of the Will, right over here. And then this is triple effect, just like that. Alright, so then here is the triple threat buff on her. And as you can see, it does a myriad of effects for the party. I also want to mention that, yeah, things do look a little different here for Lyse. So now you can see she has a free skill use on her S2. So I'm just going to do this, just kind of show the... just to show the effects. Just like that. Alright, so I'm just going to do this. And then this should just kill it. Here we go. So for Lyse's LD, it's honestly pretty good. Not really something that I use personally, but it does have a myriad of good effects for the party. So if you're someone that focuses on like party-wide damage, damage reduction, party support, then she'd be a good pick. So with that being said, thank you guys very much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know if you will be pulling for Emperor, Snow, or for Lyse, and I will see you all next time.